Page 69, Pep Rally. On page 68, they're introducing a new symbol, and that is called a sharp sign. You see it at the top. Looks like a tic-tac-toe or a pound sign. Today's generation would call it a hashtag, whatever. That's what it looks like, and it simply means you're going to take the note up a half step. Do you remember what half steps and whole steps are? Let's review. In fact, this is a good point here. If you're not understanding any of the symbols or any of the stuff before, or you're forgetting, this is a good point to go back and do it all, review everything. Review the lessons, go through everything all over again. Just make sure you really understand everything that's been presented. Now, in music, a half step is the closest distance between any two notes we have. On a piano, that would be like from here to here. We haven't been using the black keys yet. We're going to start, but a half step is you're here. That's a half step, that's a half step, half step, half step, half step, because there's no black key in between. It's next note, up or down. Half step. A whole step is two halves. Two halves make a whole. So you take a half step and a half step, and that then is a whole step, because it has one note in between. It's got this note in between. Whole step, because it's got this note in between. Whole step here, that's a whole step because it's got one note in between. So whole steps and half steps. We refer to these, and it comes in really handy later on with the intervals and all. So a sharp is simply going to raise the note up or change it one half step. Up being toward the piano here, up is there and down is there, remember? Up, going up. So they've got at the bottom the note guide review. The notes we've had, they keep calling them guides. I don't care for the guides, but they were using them. Here, 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 here. Don't sound too bad together. And they put a sharp sign in front of each note there at the bottom of page 68. That's the indication to take that up a half step. So that first one is the low C down here. But with the sharp sign, instead of the C, you're going to play the C sharp. So all of these black keys, they have, well, all the keys on a piano have more than one name. Don't worry about it, we'll get there. But on all the black keys, they're simply a sharp of whatever the white key is right next to them going down. So you have a C sharp, a D sharp, an E sharp. And you say, well, no, that's an F. Well, again, every key on a piano has multiple names, and you take it up a half step white or black. So if I have an E and I want an E sharp, and there are E sharps, then on a piano it's an F. So F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. Yes, we have B sharps also, which is also a C on a piano. Technically, a B sharp is not the same pitch as a C, but on piano, the way it's tuned, it is. And that's the way sharps work. So when you see the sharp, instead of playing the white key, you're going to play the black key next to it. Let's look at Pep Rally. In the second measure, you have the Fs here, and then the next F has a sharp in front of it, so you're going to do here. Play F sharp instead. In the left hand, you have an F and then an F sharp. And for now, we're going to use the same finger on the black key as we would use on the white. So it's like here on this piece, we're in C position. And in that second measure, the finger that would play the F is also going to be used to play the F sharp. We're not always going to do that, but that's the general guide. That's what you typically do, and then if something happens you can't use the same finger, then you got to adjust and use other fingers. So for now, we're just going to use the same finger on the black key as we did for the white. Now the rule, you're going to love this one. When they introduce a sharp sign is called an accidental because it's temporary. It's not like permanent anymore. It used to be almost permanent. But it's temporary now because music has evolved. I won't get into it. There are other accidentals besides this, but I don't want to talk about them until we get there. We're going to focus on sharp signs. But the rule is the same for all accidentals, so it doesn't matter. And that is, it applies for that note for the rest of the measure, but only that measure and only that staff. Each staff has to have its own set of symbols. So in the second measure here, when the first F is natural, there's nothing to tell you anything else. The second F is an F sharp. Well, if the last note were another F, it would also be an F sharp because it's in the same measure. But once we cross the bar line, it doesn't. Then if you get an F, it's an F natural again. Now the part about what people don't agree with is some people will tell you, and I say this because you might talk to people who read it and you're going to read one thing or another depending on who's talking or writing or whatever. Some people will tell you that F is for that pitch, that note only. No other F's are involved. It's got to be only that F. And most piano players follow that rule. In piano, we got so many notes going. If there's another F in another octave somewhere else, we need the sharp on that also. It just helps keep it clear. But other people, and I say this because I got in a discussion with a violin teacher who very well educated and experienced, and she insisted, no. Other people will say that F applies to the note name. It doesn't matter what octave it's in. So if I had another F, let's say that F in the bottom staff were in the top staff also, it would apply to that automatically. You wouldn't need a sharp in front of it. So you're going to run into both of these. However, piano players, we really need the sign in front of each note in the octave, whatever octave it's in. So if I had two F's in the top staff together, say here, and one of them was sharp, I wanted them sharp, I would need to put a sharp sign in front of both F's, not just one of them. Yeah. So be aware that the rule is another situation where people don't agree. Now let's talk Pep Rally. So let's look it over. It's 4 lines long, there's no repeat sign, treble and bass clef, 4/4 time, we got a bunch of quarter notes and quarter rests and 1/2 note somewhere, okay. Right hand first, let's cover the notes and the rhythms. You're starting out with thumb on high C up here. I say high C because it's 1 octave above middle C. Middle C, high C, high C, and super duper outer space C, whatever that is up there. But this is high C, so you're up here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, rest. Get the idea? It's pretty repetitious. Let's go to measure 7. Quarter notes, you're still in this position. These are F naturals now because there's no sharp sign. And then in measure 9, now we get a C and an E together. 1, 2, 3, and see, it's not on the same beats now. Now you're on the other beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Isn't this wonderful? Last line, measure 14. It's 1, it's a C and an F. 1, 2, and then an F sharp. Just a C though. There's no sharp sign in front of the C, so it's just a C natural. 1, and the next measure, that's an F natural. Because remember, the sharp sign's only good for that measure. So it's, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Well, the left hand's very similar to it, but the rhythm's a little different, so let's just make sure we got it. You're starting with little finger here, and this is called a low C, because that's middle C, low C, and super duper bassy C down there somewhere. So we got C. And it's the same rhythm right now as the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's go down to the third line. It's the same rhythm. The fourth line is the same rhythm except the last two measures. The last two measures at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then that last note has an 8VA under it. Remember, they don't need that little dashed line after. The 8VA under it is it, because it's just one note. So anyway, you come down 1 octave down here. Doesn't matter what finger you use to play it, just pick a finger and play it. Put the hands together. Well, it's not too bad when they're playing the same notes and the same rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so forth. But when you get down to measure 9, now it's off. 1, 2. So we're going ba da da da. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then the last line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you gotta be ready with that. Rest, rest. That's sort of the piece. Now, once you're satisfied that you have the notes and rhythms okay and no hesitations, then add the accents. Accent, you just play a little louder. So it's louder. Just a little louder from where you were. And then in measure 7 and 8, you slur. And then measure 9, now you're accented here, both hands. And I put a little silence between each note here because it helps to bring out the accented note. In other words, if I connect the notes, it sounds like this. See, I'm connecting there, but I put a little silence between it when it's accented notes one after another. It's just a way of interpreting it. You don't have to, but I do. And then at the end, the last 2 measures are all accented. Then dynamics, it starts out moderately loud. And this is sort of both hands here. It's like a duet. So moderately loud, whatever you think that is. That makes the accented note a loud note. And you're staying that way till measure 9, you come up. Now you're loud with accents. I don't think you need both. But let's pretend at measure 9 you're medium loud still, same as you were at the beginning. But when you add the accents, it takes it up to loud. See, the accents here, I could say, just take off the accents, you don't need them. But if you do that then it changes how you play it. You might not separate them anymore because they're not accented anymore. So I'm saying keep the dynamic at medium loud. And with the accent, that'll take it up to loud. I don't know that we need to get very loud, but if you want to, I guess that's up to you. You get very loud if you want. But this is both hands. And it just stays that way for the rest of it. Speed, well, with pep. So kind of depends on how far into the game you are and how excited things are getting. Okay. Just be careful for the last 2 lines especially. Don't stiffen up and play with a stiff wrist. Let the wrist collapse each time. Let it. You can't see it very well in here. I'm letting the wrist collapse on all of these. So boom, boom, boom. Not a lot, but a little bit. I don't want to get tight. Is the point. Let's play this together very slowly and double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics. I'll try and do the accents. Well, let's see. 4 counts. I'll give us 4 counts, and let's try it slowly together. We're not performing it. We're just checking notes and rhythms. That's all this is for. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. rest.